you miss us? Because we missed you. Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 11 of the Sports Advocates podcast. I'm Mitch Fosberg, joined alongside, as always, and I think now at an 82-degree angle, by Sports Center McLean Moberg. McLean, it's Tuesday as we're talking to this right now. How are you feeling today, man?
In terms of sports, pretty good. We're right upon the NFL draft, in the midst of the NBA and NHL playoffs. Baseball's in full swing. I mean, this is one of the better times of year.
Pun intended for the baseball in full swing. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. I got my mock draft, my final one all laid out. I'm going to explain it to all y'all. But before we get there, let's get to our guest here, shall we?
Yes.
All right, so let's do that right now. All right, joining us now over the phone, arguably the hottest pitcher right now in Manistee County. Bear Lake Jr., Cole Merrill has been red hot. I mean, gosh, he hasn't allowed a hit in at least 10 innings now. So, joining us now over the phone is the one Merrill sibling who has not hit my car with a foul ball, Cole Merrill. Cole, how are we doing today, man?
Good, how are you?
Hey, it's Tuesday, sunshine, it's fantastic. So, I guess to start off, man, what's gotten into you this past week here on the mound?
I mean, I've just found my groove. I've been confident. I'm not afraid to throw my pitches, and whatever happens, happens.
What do you think was going on in your first couple of starts there, Cole, before you kind of, turned this corner? I know John, Prokes, your coach, was saying you were maybe struggling a little bit out there, but obviously that seems to have changed.
Yeah, I was having some problems with my actual form in general, and I made some changes over the week between games. I just found my groove. I found what I needed to do, what felt comfortable, and whatever worked to throw strikes.
And when you talk about some of those changes, was it following through more? Were you finishing high, or what did you think was going on with your technique?
I was having a really high leg raise, which wasn't natural for me. I mean, I have always had a lower leg raise, and for some reason this year, after having such a long break through my other sports, I had a really high leg raise for no reason, but I switched that. I changed to a lower leg raise, and it gave me a lot more of my control back.
Isn't it kind of fascinating, especially for baseball, that just the simplest little thing like a leg raise can throw everything out of whack so hard?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, I thought it was just me. I thought I was just inconsistent, and that caused a lot of confidence problems. But then one little change like that, and I feel great.
As a pitcher, what do you find having the confidence that you do right now does for you when you do get on the hill?
I mean, confidence is everything. I mean, I know before I was doing good, my curve, I wouldn't throw it because, I didn't have any confidence on the mound. I didn't think I could throw strikes. So I didn't want to throw a changeup that I didn't have as much experience with. I mean, I've been throwing fastballs my whole life, and I can't throw a strike with that. I'm not going to have the confidence to throw my off speeds and changeups. So, confidence just allows me to use my whole package and just deliver strikes better than when I'm nervous.
Cole, can you take us through two different instances? What kind of goes through your mind when you're struggling and you're trying to find it, and obviously you don't want to get pulled, you don't want to have a meeting at the mound or anything like that. So what are some of the thoughts going through your mind in that situation? And then when you're pitching really well, and you get into a particular zone, what's going through your head?
Definitely when I'm throwing bad, I'm thinking what is my coach thinking? Because I know eventually, as soon as I get to a certain point, he's going to have to either come talk to me, trade me out. It happened at the Mesa game. I got switched out first quarter. I threw one strike in 33 pitches, or one out in 33 pitches. But that definitely, it's hard because you start getting in your own head. I'm thinking, I can't throw a strike. How am I going to get out? I get 3-2, and I need one strike on this guy, and I'm thinking I'm going to throw a ball. But then when I get in that groove, once I get a few strikes, I'm thinking, okay, now I'm going to throw a strike. I feel confident, and then it just all works out.
Cole, I want you to kind of go back to the night with the no-hitter. And how were you feeling before that game took place?
I was feeling nervous because I mean, obviously, my last 2 starts, I hadn't thrown good. I'd made some changes with my form, but I hadn't done anything with it in game yet. I mean, I was starting pitcher before, and now that was up for grabs because I hadn't been doing good. So there was definitely a lot of pressure. But once I got through that first inning and was able to go 1, 2, 3 on outs, then I started feeling good, and from there on, it was great.
Yeah, you go 5 innings, you throw 74 strikes to 48 balls, and you have 10 strikeouts. That had to make you feel pretty good.
Yeah.
What was the emotion like afterwards for you with your teammates and just knowing that maybe you've kind of gotten back on track?
I mean, everybody was pretty pumped up. I mean, even before, I've never thrown that good. So throughout the whole game, everybody was kind of amped up that we had that to go. I was able to throw that good. So everybody was kind of pumped up. And I was trying to keep my cool because I didn't want to, get too pumped up and then start messing things up. So I was trying to keep my cool. But after the game, it was just crazy. I mean, we were all super pumped up and just laughing and having fun.
One thing I want to ask you, too, here, Cole. I know, obviously, throwing a no-hitter by yourself is one accomplishment, but when I was there on Monday watching you guys, I mean, you and Zach Griffis combined for no-hitter. I mean, how special a moment was that for you two?
That was great. I mean, we've been throwing since Little League, so if I'm going to share a no-hitter with anybody, that would be the perfect person for it. I mean, I handed the reins over to him, and I have full trust in him to get things done, so that was great.
The last question here, after watching you, I mean, kind of watching your mechanics where you throw the ball, it's a pretty cool little way you do it. And I swear I've seen it before, but I can't put my finger on it exactly. Where did you learn to throw the ball like that?
Well, I know my coaches Zach Griffis and Paul Sanderson have had huge effects on my pitching. I mean, that's where I've learned. Zach Griffis was my Little League coach. I mean, from there I had pitching. Then I've had a few people who have assisted me along the way in pitching, but those are definitely my 2 main mentors.
Gotcha. And then last question here, because I ask everybody this, and you, my friend, are no exception. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Oh, no. No way.
Oh.
First no.
Wow.
I think this is the first no.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know how to react. Wow.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, Cole, I appreciate you coming on today, man, and taking the time. Congrats on the no-hitters, man, and I hope you're able to keep it up.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, big thank you to Mr. Cole Merrill for coming on again. A little hot streak here for Cole, man. It's fun to see.
Yeah, he's obviously doing really well right now, and I think with the way he's throwing, and he mentioned it, right, with the leg kick, I think if that was really what was going on with his mechanics, I think he's in for a dang good season here.
It's kind of, again, like I mentioned him, it's kind of funny how the smallest little thing can just throw everything out of proportion, right?
Throw a pitcher's technique completely off.
Absolutely.
And finishing too high, finishing too low, not being able to throw strikes. Pitching is an art.
It is an art. But speaking of art, let's get to my mock draft, shall we? And maybe great painting, and maybe just finger painting that probably your daughter could do better at. No lie. So, yep, I have been at this. So I'll preface by saying this. It is 3:28 p.m. on Tuesday, April 25th, 2023. Things may change by the time these words spit out my mouth, but this is the mock draft I have right now. Before I get too far deep, the full mock is available down in the description and at ManaceeNews.com. It's also available in the April 27th print edition of the Manistee News Advocate. After all my months of research, all the film I watched, all the great thinkings, the gears turning in my mind, the hamster, the powers, and the wheels worked overtime, that looked good, the budget. I can say this with confidence. I'm clueless. I am clueless. One little thing, like I mentioned with the leg kick, one little thing could throw everything out of proportion. So, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right.
Let's see what we got.
So, first overall pick, Bryce Young, Alabama quarterback. That's not moving, okay? There's whispers about Levis maybe going 1, but the same guy whispering that is also whispering that Joaquin Phoenix is going to get recast for the second Joker movie. Bryce Young is, like we talked about, the right mindset to be a successful NFL quarterback. But along with Frank Wright, it should work just fine. But before I get too far deep, I want to use this analogy too. When you look, Joel Klatt hit on this a little bit last week, and I think he's right, but I'm going to rephrase it a different way to make it unique. When you talk about draft prospects like this, think of it as like, you're Indiana Jones and you found this puzzle that like unlocks like some secret Raiders the Hidden Tomb or whatever. Not big Indiana Jones fan. But you got to think about, how many moves you have to make to unlock this box and what's inside the box and what hands are moving the pieces to get the best out of this box. When you look at Bryce Young's mind or Frank Reich's, career as a quarterback, like, it's a good mix. It's a good piece. So, for me, Bryce Young 1 makes sense. Number 2, the Houston Texans. I got Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. Look, the need for quarterback, it's there. But also, you're looking at your first and Cleveland's first next year. Okay, they may trade back up and get a quarterback here, but we'll see what happens. But if I'm DeMeco Ryans and I'm starting this defense from scratch, I need a guy that can get to the quarterback. Very similar to 2019, you have an undersized quarterback going 1 and an absolute animal of an edge rusher going 2. He's 6'6", 275, incredible wingspan. The dude's an absolute monster. You can put him down as a 6 tech. Maybe if you beef him up just a little bit, he can play the interior in nickel and dime packages. But it's just, I feel, the right scheme for what Houston wants to accomplish. Now, for all I care, it could be C.J. Stroud and not see it coming. So be it. But for me, I'm pegging Tyree Wilson there. So, pick number 3, we have our first trade. Arizona drops back 4 spots for the Raiders, who originally tried to move up to number 1, but they settle for number 3. And with that pick, they select Will Levis, quarterback out of Kentucky. Now, I get it. He's a bit of an odd duck. I mean, the dude eats bananas whole without peeling them, and he enjoys his morning cup of coffee with a nice dollop of mayonnaise. But, yeah, that's iffy, huh? But, what do we know about the Raiders right now? Jimmy Garoppolo staying healthy is not a good option. You have all these receiving options, especially like Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow, and you're in a division where you have to get the quarterback right. Because Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes ain't going away. Russell Wilson, that's a danger which avenue can go down. But, now, Levis makes sense. Raiders need a long-term option at quarterback. It makes sense for Arizona to go down, as I'll talk about later. Plus, you got to jump ahead of Indy to get a quarterback you want, which, speaking of Indy, now pick number 4, I have C.J. Stroud out of Ohio State. Need a quarterback. Bryce Young's gone. Will Levis is gone. C.J. Stroud's the one left. Now, I know there's just been some things about maybe his ability to process information after his S2 tests kind of came back. We'll see, not good. But when you look at Shane Steichen and what he wants to do with his offense and what he's done with Philadelphia, that may be just the right system fit for Stroud, at least in my opinion. I mean, if Indy's fully healthy, which they weren't last year, they boast a top 5 O-line and arguably the best young running back in the NFL with Jonathan Taylor. Like, they have pieces on offense to surround him, at least a decent start. Receiver, I'm definitely questioning. But Colts, C.J. Stroud, just makes sense. All right, number 5, the Seattle Seahawks. I wasn't going to budge off Anthony Richardson here, but I budged off Anthony Richardson here. I got him taking Jalen Carter out of Georgia. Pete Carroll historically has done well with guys who may have some character issues. I mean, luckily with some guys like maybe like a Michael Bennett, I'll use as an example. Earl Thomas, I think we all saw how it ended with him, giving him the birds as he's carted off with a broken ankle. Yes, Carter has some off-the-field concerns, but when you take those away, and the ability he has to be a true 3 technique, especially in Seattle in that division, where offensive lines are kind of, San Francisco's solid, LA's under repair, Arizona, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to describe a word past 0, but Carter just makes too much sense for the ability and kind of the defense to get one big piece, the interior, so I got Jalen Carter there. Number 6, the Detroit Lions. Will Anderson Jr., edge rusher, Alabama. 3rd straight year where Brad Holmes secures arguably the best pound-for-pound player in the class. 2021 was Penei Sewell. Last year, Aiden Hutchinson. Now it's Will Anderson Jr., or as the kind folks down in Roll Tide Country called him, the Terminator. But picture him alongside a rotation with Aiden Hutchinson and James Houston. We talked about O-lines being iffy. When you look at the NFC North, too, about Minnesota and Chicago and possibly Green Bay, you win a line of scrimmage, you win football games. Lions desperately need to get better at defense in all 3 areas. They start with Will Anderson Jr. So pick 7, Arizona Cardinals from the trade down. They get the guy that wanted 3, but they add more draft capital to it. Pierce Johnson, offensive tackle of Ohio State. You have a quarterback, a center fielder. Literally. The athletic ability and the arm is there. That center fielder does you no good if he's running for his life like a chicken with his head caught off because the pass blocking's not there. Johnson's the best offensive tackle in this class. I think Skoronsky probably kick inside long term, but Arizona needs a lot of things. Might as well start in the trenches. So Pierce Johnson there makes sense. All right, so 8th overall, the Atlanta Falcons, the Dirty Birds. Attempted quarterback here. I'm going to pass on that for now. I love Desmond Ridder too much. I had him as the first quarterback off the board last year. Obviously, it didn't happen. And for my Steelers, probably a good thing with Kenny Pickett in there. But I got the Falcons taking another offensive playmaker. Bijan Robinson, running back out of Texas. Am I tempted to go with defensive player here? Yes, but with A.J. Terrell in secondary, I think corner is not the need. Bijan Robinson is arguably the best running back prospect we've seen come out since Saquon Barkley, which, ironically enough, is who he's getting compared to. I don't think he's super top end speed-wise, but he does everything you want out of running back, and, you pair him with Drake London and Kyle Pitts, and you guys have a nice little trio nucleus there for players. So, yeah, I like Bijan Robinson at 8 there. Number 9, we got a trade. Chicago, who originally got this pick from Carolina, trades it back to drop 3 places for the Houston Texans. And with that pick, the Texans select Hendon Hooker, quarterback out of Tennessee. Look, I get it, the ACL tear is there, but before his knee went kaplooey and it pulled on my leg thing like Fred the Fish from SpongeBob, he was a Heisman finalist and was looking to probably get Tennessee to the college football playoff. There probably would have been that 4 seed over Ohio State. He's got the ability to do everything you want out of a quarterback. He just needs time, and if you're a Texans fan, if you know you have your future quarterback, probably not till week 12 or 13 at the earliest, you can live with Davis Mills for that stretch, right? Right? Maybe? Yeah, but, if I could tell, the Texans are big Hendon Hooker fans. No way you do it at 2, but you trade up 3 spots to go from 12 to 9. You still keep at least one of your first rounders for next year, so it makes sense. All right, so now the 10th overall pick. Another trade. 3 trades in the top 10. Kind of nuts, right? But this makes sense. So, my last mock draft I had, Anthony Richardson, quarterback out of Florida, going to Seattle, 5, right?
Yep.
Well, the Seahawks trade up 10 spots to 10 to take him here. Look, I've said it before, I'll say it again until my face turns blue. Richardson fits in Seattle. He can do literally everything Russell Wilson did, minus the ego, and can see over the offensive line. Literally, if Pete Carroll can solve the puzzle to get the most out of this kid, which he got the most out of Russell Wilson, holy smokes, we see it now. What can he do with Anthony? Do with the second coming, physically, of Cam Newton on hypothetical steroids here? Athletically, this dude's a freak. Plus, having this guy in the NFC, he can redshirt for 1 year basically behind Geno Smith. Geno's getting $51 million of the $100 million extension, which he got after the combine. I'll say it again. Richardson, Seattle makes too much sense. So, McLean, your thoughts after this top 10?
Yeah, man. I would just say, not taking the quarterback at 2 for Houston would be the biggest thing because you look everywhere and they say no, they get their quarterback right here anyways. Yeah. But you look at at one time we were looking at 4 quarterbacks in the top 6 or something like that. Is most of these guys' mock drafts. So things have sort of changed a little bit. It feels like as we get closer and closer.
Yeah. The thing is, though, for me, last year's quarterback class was what it was. Only one went from the first round for a reason. There's enough teams right now that need quarterbacks, And I feel the whole stigma of, like, just get your guy flat out, comes back this year big time. Especially get some of this talent here, I think it'd be really good. So,
well, talk to me about Will Anderson and how that ends up working out for Detroit.
Well, worst case scenario, knee snaps a couple times, career's done. Don't want to go that route. But he's probably pound for pound the best pass rusher in this class. And Detroit found a way. You saw it last year against Green Bay. Aiden Hutchinson lined up over David Bakhtiari. Pretty even matchup. Aiden Hutchinson on the right side of the offensive line. Aaron Rodgers wound up going to dirt quite a bit. So if you can find one more piece in the pass rush to play that kind of chess game, it's like maybe Hutchinson slides inside a little bit in some pass rushing packages with his length. Anderson's a guy that, coming out this year, built very similar to Khalil Mack. Am I saying he's going to be Khalil Mack? No, but he's got the traits of kind of same similar skill sets. I mean, the guy's called the Terminator. What more do you want? The Terminator in Detroit, I mean, that's awesome, right?
It is.
All right, so through these next few picks here, I'm going to rattle off the names I have, because if I go explain every pick, we're going to be here for 2 hours. And I don't mind talking sometimes, but I don't want to talk for 2 hours straight. So I'm going to rattle off picks. McLean, if you think all of a sudden like this is kind of weird or you want me to explain it, tee me up or do whatever. I don't care. Just, no swear words because we're a family-friendly program. So, pick 11. Titans got Darnell Wright, offensive tackle out of Tennessee. Chicago Bears at 12. Take Nolan Smith, edge rusher out of Georgia. Pick 13. The Green Bay Packers, after the pick swap for the Aaron Rodgers deal, select Jackson Smith and Jiva, wide receiver, Ohio State.
Talk to me a little bit about that selection and why that selection isn't made a year or two ago. For a guy that's no longer there.
So you have a brand new quarterback, right? You have some decent receiving options with Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. Couldn't stay healthy last year, a little bit of inconsistency. But you got those two, right? You got to think 3 receivers you need. You got 2 in there. Dobbs could be a slot receiver. Watson's out. You're deep there because the dude moves like lightning. When you have a young quarterback like this and you look at the receiving depth chart, I mean, we talk about Watson, Dobbs. You have Samori Toure, Bo Melton, and Jeff Cotton as your receiving options. You got to do something.
Yeah.
And look, Smith Najiba's the best receiver in this class. You get him on a rookie contract, and yeah, as a Packers shareholder, I find it hilarious that Green Bay does this as soon as Rodgers leaves. But honestly, defensively, they look set. I don't see where you want to add. Maybe you add a weak side linebacker, but with Nolan Smith already gone, you address that later. Maybe you think of an offensive lineman, but you already got some good linemen off the board. To me, wide receiver just makes too much sense. And this year, I think it really does make sense, because what better way to help support your run game and your young quarterback then it just makes sense this year to do it.
Yeah.
As Rodgers is probably, those one of his pippy drinks out the window, what the hell.
I just think it made sense for the last 10 years for that to be the solution, but Green Bay didn't agree.
Yeah. Pick 14, the New England Patriots. Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback, Mississippi State. 15th overall pick, the New York Jets. Broderick Jones, offensive tackle of Georgia. You need help the O-line. It's got to happen. Pick 16, the Washington Commanders. Take Brian Branch, safety of Alabama. Pick 17, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Christian Gonzalez, cornerback out of Oregon. Not sure he slips that far, but it happens. Pick 18, we got a trade. The Los Angeles Chargers trade up 3 spots with the Detroit Lions, select Zay Flowers, wide receiver out of Boston College. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 19 select Anton Harrison, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma. The Philadelphia Eagles at 20, they get the guy they wanted all along, Peter Skoronski, offensive tackle out of Northwestern. And the Lions at 21, Detroit Lions at 21, Joey Porter Jr., cornerback out of Penn State.
Yeah, so let's talk about Joey for a minute. In the sense, there's a lot of sort of moving parts with this pick, I think. One, in the past, a lot of people have discussed, the Lions taking Christian Gonzalez. Obviously, this doesn't happen here in your mock draft. He gets taken a little higher. But even deeper there, that people had Gonzalez going to Detroit at 6, and now he falls to the teens.
Yeah.
and you guys get Joey Porter. So I think we know a lot about Gonzalez, but talk to me about Joey.
Well, first of all, his dad is literally one of the poster childs of my childhood, so maybe small bias there. But when you look at Joey, the way he's built and the way he plays, like, he's a guy I think has versatility. You could put him at corner, I think outside, inside slot. You could also play him potentially at safety. I mean, he ran was about 4.40, somewhere in there. Absolutely physical. He's not the same level of physicality as Devin Witherspoon, perchance, but, it's not too far behind either. So, yeah, I think the corners could probably start at 7 or 8, but with the Raiders trading up to 3 and with Bijan Robinson sitting there at 8, probably a little too tempting. That's how I see that playing out.
Okay.
So, different piece of paper here, because I'll print it out because I want to be bad for y'all. Pick 22, Baltimore Ravens. Miles Murphy, edge rusher out of Clemson. Pick 23, the Minnesota Vikings. Trenton Simpson, linebacker out of Clemson. I've talked about him before on this show. Y'all know why. Pick 24, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Fixed right tackle. I take DeJuan Jones out of Ohio State. Pick 25, we got a trade. Green Bay Packers trade with the New York Giants to select Darnell Washington, tight end out of Georgia.
Yeah, I want to keep it with the NFC North here for a second. And Mitch, you obviously know football as much as the next guy right here. And so organizationally, sort of this pick, right? For years and years and years, you have Aaron Rodgers, you have Brett Favre, right? Those are the guys that you got if you're the Green Bay Packers. And for years and years, you refuse to put weapons around superstar, future Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And then the minute both those guys are gone, and no, lightning will not strike 3 times. Jordan Love is not the next coming of Aaron or Brett or any superstar QB. You're likely going to have a journeyman here or somebody that's going to be out of the league in a few years, and you decide to take 2 weapons offensively, whereas you refuse to do that for years. Why the change there? If you're Green Bay, and that's the thought process.
Because it's based off talent and need. Because right now their tight end depth chart is Josiah DeGuara, I hope I said that right, Tyler Davis, Austin Allen, and Nick Gugamos. That's a fun name to say. But look, you've spent the past, 10, 11 years drafting on defense, specifically in the first round outside of Jordan Love. It's just honestly need and talent both right there, because Darnell Washington, I've talked about before in this podcast, 6'6", 270, massive human being, can be a 6 offensive lineman in the run game. Passing game, he's good in the flats, he's guaranteeing seams stuff in the middle, he's be an awesome red zone option. But no matter what happens with Jordan Love, you at least need the talent around him on the offensive end. You have to do it now. I think before with Green Bay, with Rodgers, it's a guy who you think would make receivers better around him, which he did. So you maybe have to worry so much about that. Like, okay, Peyton Manning at the end in Indy. I mean, he was throwing to Pierre Garçon and Austin Collie.
Yeah,
that happens. I think also for as long as they've had Devontae Adams, maybe receiver wasn't the best. The most glaring need they had, and Mercedes Lewis, a tight end too. But those safety nets are long gone. So if Green Bay, defensively, like I mentioned, you're pretty set, but you need help on offense badly if you want any shot of even making Jordan Love work, or let alone the next quarterback potentially to work. So it's not. I get why, but I get why people think now they're doing it. It's kind of because they have to. Again, you have a quarterback too in a rookie contract for at least 1 or 2 more years. If he hits, cool, you got the weapons around him. If not, well, maybe you're a 2-year drafted kid and you bring him in all these weapons already built in. So
yeah.
All right, so pick 26, I got Devin Witherspoon, cornerback out of Illinois. Pick 27, Osiris Torrance, offensive guard out of Florida, goes to the Bills. Pick 28, Jahmyr Gibbs, running back out of Alabama, goes. Don't know what Joe Mixon's going to look like long term. Pick 29, the New Orleans Saints select Jordan Addison, wide receiver out of USC. I think him and Olave with Derek Carr would be chef's kiss.
Yeah.
The Eagles at 30, Antonio Johnson, safety out of Texas A&M. I believe I've talked about him on this show before. Love the fit there. Secondary needs to get younger. And finally, pick 31, the Kansas City Chiefs select Brian Bresee, defensive tackle out of Clemson, a guy who's got comparisons to, let me stomp this out real quick, Ndamukong Suh. So, Yeah, that is my final mock draft here. Is it going to be successful? Well, if you ask me, I think I'm 100% perfect. In reality, like last year, if I get 3 picks right, I'll be happy. Because again, folks, no one knows exactly what's going to happen. There's so much smoke right now, but yeah. So, yeah, just wrap this up here. One last thing, Mr. Moberg.
Yeah, man. I just think, I mean, the Aaron Rodgers trade is the biggest thing, in the NFL right now, alongside the NFL draft. And just to keep it there, I think draft night's going to be very interesting because I think, as Mitch said, I mean, hey, I didn't dig into it and put as many hours into it as he did, but looking at multiple mock drafts, including his, I mean, I don't know if anybody knows what's going to happen come draft night. This seems to be one of the more controversial, is that the right word? Like, just sort of tentatively predicting things instead of having, like, rock-solid predictions the way that we seem to have in these drafts, especially in the top 10.
This is the one class, I think, for quite a while where for the past couple years, we know, like, okay, Joe Burrow's going to be the guy. We know, last year, we knew it was going to be one of 2 guys, and those 2 guys went 1 and 2. But even beyond that, you knew, like, that was going to happen at 5 and 9 and 10 and stuff. So, but this year, like, okay, 1 I think is pretty pinned down. But I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina went another way with a quarterback. It wouldn't surprise me if all of a sudden, Will Levis is the first overall pick. Anthony Richardson is the first overall pick. All of a sudden, wait, who was that? Who was that? Like, oh my gosh, like Peyton Thorne go first overall. I would have been an eye. Okay, I would a little bit, but
okay.
but honestly,
let's not get crazy.
But you get my point. It's going to be this kind of draft this year, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, and 1, you mentioned 1 seems to be the lock, but it's like that's beyond, right? Because then you have some people that are like, oh yeah, Houston's going to get their QB, but then I've seen alongside yourself here, Houston goes elsewhere at 2. And I've seen Will Anderson go at 2 to Houston. I mean, it seems this top 10 is very. Maybe we know the collection of guys that's going to go in the top 10, but we don't necessarily have full confidence of where they're going to go.
Yeah. But the biggest thing is, too, is like the teams outside Seattle picking the top 4, they're in the top 4 for a reason. Because these rosters are. Okay, maybe Carolina. Carolina's further along than I probably give them credit for. But you're talking about Houston, Arizona, and Indianapolis. There are reasons why they're picking that high. These rosters are decimated. So we've seen the past 2 quarterbacks get drafted, nothing around them, flame out. Tim Couch, Johnny Manziel. I can left stop Cleveland quarterbacks all day long, but you get the point. Now it's like, you look at what Kansas City did with Mahomes. You built this roster, this kind of playoff contender on the verge, and then you have that one guy that just changes everything. These teams are a long, long ways away from having that one guy change everything. One guy's not going to change the entire landscape of these divisions for these teams. Maybe Indy, I don't know, but.
So you don't see there being a Bengals this year where you win 4 games and then all of a sudden you're in the Super Bowl just because you took Burrow. You don't think that any of these guys in the top 5 or top 10 or anything like that are going to take a guy and they're instantly going to be a winner, let's call it, or at least a positive record. 9-8 is positive technically.
No, not really. I mean, Carolina, I think if they hit young, they have a good shot winning that division because NFC South is kind of that. Yeah. Houston, Jacksonville's already take over that division. Let's be totally honest here. You got to find a way to disrupt Lawrence. Arizona, you're looking up at Seattle, San Francisco, and LA. 2 of those teams are a big concern. LA depends how this whole rebuild goes. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm excited for it, and I can't wait to tune in here.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting times. I'll be watching Pat McAfee's draft spectacular as always, because that's always way more entertaining.
It's the best.
And the picks always flying like 3 minutes faster than ESPN.
Yeah.
And also be able to deal with, Pat McAfee has Mel Kiper on their show too.
Yeah.
It's awesome, but
true.
Cool. Well, anything else we got for you, Chess, before we sign off, my man?
No, man, that is it. I'm ready to get started this week.
Absolutely. It's a great week to be a sports fan.
Yes, it is.
All right, so until we see you again from McLean Moberg, I'm Mitch Fosberg. Y'all be safe. As always, keep your stick in the ice.